So our story begins when I was pregnant with our first child, and we knew we were having a boy. We were very excited. I had a great pregnancy and no red flags. You know, there were so many things before we had him that we had dreamed about and talked about, and that we didn't know what we were getting into as parents, but we knew we were really excited. Moments after Winston was born, I just realized I was watching Brandon just stare at him across the room. I don't know, I was trying to figure out what was going on. I had just delivered early before I even had a shower, and I was in a bit of a shock from that. They brought Winston over, put him in my lap, and looked at him, and I just stared at him, and I looked at Brandon and I said, do you think everything's okay? We had a clinical assessment done by a nurse practitioner in the NICU, and she ended up telling us, based on a clinical assessment, they'd have to do a chromosomal workup, but that he had trisomy 21, or what's known as Down syndrome. That pretty much sent me into a state of shock. I kind of had an out-of-body experience, as if I was watching myself from, the ceiling in the hospital room holding Winston. And Brandon buried his head in my lap and just lost it. And Brandon lifted up his head with tears running down his face, and he looked at me in the eye and said, "Tiffany, we're gonna make it, and we're a team." It was a hard day. I don't even remember anything about that hospital stay. We ended up in a place that day that we never intended to be, never would have wanted to be, and I knew together we were gonna figure this out, and that's the journey. That's really where our journey started. And so we had been invited to go to this walk, and I told Brandon, I'm not sure that I'm ready to face all of this. I didn't know. I was the only person, I think, in the world who didn't have a neighbor's, brother's, uncle's, cousin's, friend who had Down syndrome. I didn't know anybody that had Down syndrome, and so I had no reference point. We woke up that morning of the walk, deciding the night before we weren't going. We woke up, and I was just like, we got to get over there. We just got to face some of this. So we went over there. We got there. It was a sea of people. And I think that in of itself was like, wow, all these people are here for a Down syndrome walk. We were really shocked by all of the celebration and all of the friends and family that were there to support. And we were really overwhelmed by that.
That was a real turning point for us, because I think we saw, as Tiffany mentioned, the celebratory nature of just the walk and the environment there. We didn't know we needed to see that. We had a lot of more negative news, medical realities, and some of the things that had been shared with us that were true in one sense, but we wanted to kind of understand and appreciate a truth on the other side, which is just the wonderful life that is possible for Winston, and all that he can do, and all that individuals with Down syndrome are capable of doing, and we wanted to just see. We wanted to see the celebration of what the best of it can be. This ended up to be a community that we didn't even know we needed, and a community of people that were walking down the same journey, dealing with the same issues. What then we learned was just this ability that the Down Syndrome Association of Minnesota has to just empower families through information and resources, and in most importantly, probably education, and very intentional education. And the regional conference really gave us much more of a footing to learn, and we were able to invite our extended family, my parents, Tiffany's family, and her mom and her siblings, and we were able to just rally around learning more and feeling more empowered, because we were informed in a way that was all of what's possible. That's essentially the mission of the Down Syndrome Association of Minnesota. It's first and foremost to intentionally create community. It's there for empowering families through the education that's available in various mediums. And then most importantly, it's there to celebrate. We're just thrilled to be a part of this community, contributing to the community and raising money for this community, because it's through support that all of this is made possible. And it's families like ours that have benefited from the generous donations of many that have come before us, that have laid this foundation, created this community. But it's donations that we know we're asking for now to continue to propel the vision and the mission forward, to help people celebrate, feel empowered, and find community.
Hey guys, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jonathan Keller. I am Tiffany's brother. I am Winston's uncle. And I remember the moment when I was called. I was in San Diego. I remember it was the first child in our family. Winston was born, and my mother called me to tell me that he was born. And she was crying and told me that there was most likely a Down syndrome diagnosis to come in the next day or two. And I remember being consumed by fear. And as an uncle, I can only imagine what it's like for parents that are in that situation, and to start this whole new life, and this life that you thought you were going to have, and now you have this new life. And I can only imagine the fear associated with that. So what we're looking for is, I guess, you guys. I'm asking for the community of people who know me, people who know Brandon and Tiffany, and even if you don't know us, we're asking you to join in this cause. It's a big day for us. We're going to celebrate not only on September 10th when I cross the finish line, but also at the walk for Down syndrome 2 weeks later. That will be my fuel for that day. I will do my best and chase that money and cross that finish line, and I'll do it for you, and I'll do it for those living with Down syndrome. So guys, lastly, I will leave the link to the fundraising page in the description below. And again, we appreciate anything and everything that you guys can offer and will offer. And I look forward to Ironman for Winston 2017. And here we go.